Yeah, but that's not what we do in this business. We don't.
Oh, 1 second, Matt. If you say to me, based on that, would you impeach him or convict him? No. You need hard evidence. So that's why I say investigate it. I'm not ready to make conclusions. If I was in the House, I wouldn't even impeach him over that because you need hard evidence. Get the Deutsche Bank records. Get the Deutsche Bank records. Get his tax records. Why do you think he's so insane about keeping those private? There's no way he didn't do a lifelong criminal enterprise. Everything he's done is a criminal enterprise. Trump University, the charity, etc. You think he does? So anyway, if you looked into those financial records, my guess, very informed guess, is that you would find out that he owes the Russians, and that's why he's been... Look, one last thing on that, Matt. 2 different meetings with Vladimir Putin. In one meeting, he takes the American translator's notes and rips them up. Who does that? In the next meeting...
Maybe somebody who's had every conversation he's had with a world leader leaked to the news media?
Okay, alright, I understand, because that's bullshit! Get the f*** off the phone! That's racist! You're racist! Get the f*** out!
But he doesn't do that with any other leader. He only does it with Putin. And then another time he goes in and doesn't even have a American translator at the meeting with the head of Russia. He relies on a Russian translator. Nobody does that. Nobody. And you know Trump,
I don't know Trump.
We can see clear as day. He's the most guilty guy you've ever met on every issue.
Yeah, but Cenk, we don't do that. We don't say he's guilty and work backwards from that.
All the money from the Russians. He takes all this money from this one particular set of oligarchs, and you think that's the one thing that he didn't do anything wrong in.
So concretely, what money? Concretely, what relationships? Do you think this translates into the implication that he's an asset of Russia? You have to have something in order to say that. We don't have.
That was bullshit! You let on the phone! You're my favorite faggot!
To all of the super obvious things is, hey, look, Matt, like, for example...
Well, he's got relationships with 50 other countries. He's got hotels in half the countries in the world.
Arabia.
No, but first of all, and he does do favors for them. He does favors for the Saudis, and he said, yeah, Saudis give me $40-50 million for
Is he a Saudi agent?
No, but does he do Saudi Arabia and Turkey favors? Because
yeah, he did. He sold weapons to Saudi Arabia, which is totally inappropriate, but that doesn't make him a Saudi agent.
Well, look, if he's actually actively doing it because of his own financial interest, in a sense, it does. Yes. Look, here, I'll give you an example. Mark Sanford goes missing when he was governor of South Carolina. And all of the press reports that he's on the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah.
I went on the Young Turks and I said, no, he's not. I will guarantee you he's not on the Appalachian Trail. Okay? And people said, Cenk, you're outrageous. How could you say that? I'm like, there's no governor that goes missing because he wanted to hike for 2 days.
Unless that's a euphemism, of course. In which case it works.
Yeah, he was on the Trail of Swords. So he's definitely doing something wrong, and he's definitely not on the Appalachian Trail. You could have said at the time, Matt, hey, Cenk, that's not fair. You don't know. Maybe he went on a long hike. But logically, you knew he was up to no good, and I was right about that. And here we have a similar situation. I'm not telling you I have secret evidence that other people don't. But logically, based on all of the publicly available evidence, if you had to make a bet, that would be the logical place to make it.
The logical place to start would be that the President of the United States is an agent of a foreign power?
This president, yes. Matt, how could you not see it? All he cares about is the money.
Well, we don't know that that's his biggest financial interest, first of all. We don't know any of this.
Except for the fact both Eric and Donald Trump Jr. have said that they get their money from the Russians. Except for the fact that the Deutsche Bank has a division in there that was known as a global laundromat that did money laundering, mainly for Russian oligarchs. In that same area of the bank is Donald Trump's money. Another wild coincidence. Except for the fact that the Russians go and buy a third of his properties for obvious money laundering. Now you could say, hey, maybe he didn't know. Maybe he didn't, okay? But they were obviously taking money out of the country.
We don't do that in this business. In order to say that somebody's committed a crime, we have to be able to demonstrate. I couldn't do that at Rolling Stone. I'd be sued if I did that.
Yeah, I hear you. So that's why I say all the time, and I'm very clear about it, first we give you the facts, then we give you context, and then last we give you perspective. And my perspective is that Donald Trump works for the Russians based on every action he's ever taken.
But can I ask one question? This is a question I have. What's the Russians? Like, is that the Russian government? Is that Russian oligarchs? What does it mean when we say that?
Yes, Russian oligarchs is where he very likely borrowed the money. Again, I'm happy to be proven wrong. Deutsche Bank, give us the goddamn records and let's find out, okay? And so, and then there are no oligarchs in Russia that operate without Putin's permission.
Well, but they all have differing relationships with the government. It's not a totalitarian state. Some of them are closer to Putin. Some of them are closer to other factions. It's not 100% guaranteed that if somebody has a relationship with a Russian company that absolutely that means that they're going to be working for the FSB or the SVR or whatever. It doesn't work like that.
Matt, will you acknowledge that it is that if a Russian oligarch had some leverage over a United States president, that Putin would be interested in that and would exert some degree of pressure to use that leverage? Would you agree with that statement?
No, I mean it's not any different from saying that a Saudi sheik is going to get somebody whispering in his or her ear about pressing a weapons deal with the American president.
But I totally agree with you. But
that doesn't make it an espionage thing.
Yes, it does, Matt. I'm not established in media, so I'm not going to go down the thing of like, hey, don't talk about Saudi Arabia, don't talk about any other countries, only talk about Russia. No, all those countries are all trying to influence Trump with money, and it's very logical. If you were
the same way they tried to influence the Bush family, the same way they've tried to influence every political family.
And Matt, that's why I say I'm not the mainstream media. The Bush family and all of those other politicians are greatly influenced by lobbyists and also by money from foreign countries. And the mainstream media totally ignores that.
Yeah.
But we don't do that at TYT. We cover those stories. But so what I'm asking you to do is, as you're covering all those stories, as we always have, Matt, you should also cover the Russia story related to Trump. To weirdly exempt that from all the other corruption that we cover when it comes to other politicians in other countries is just bizarre. It's obviously.
I'm not asking you to exempt. I'm asking you to start with what we know and then work forward. And we just don't know a whole lot here. We don't have anything concrete that says this person has an espionage relationship with a foreign country, which is what everybody's been doing.